this is Brian.
And I'm Logan, and this is Tops.
Sup, you ready to be a pro?
And this is Bottoms.
Sup, I'm ready to be Yugi.
And this is Dribbles. Sup, I'm Shadows. Oh, wow, this series came back. Wow. And we're Crush Cards. Hi, team. Happy Friday, my perfect professionals. Oh my god, Yu-Gi Pros is back. Are you wondering what the hell Yu-Gi Pros is? Don't worry, we're gonna explain it. It's been like 6 months.
So Yu-Gi Pros is actually a series that we started this year, and the concept is to try to help the community and everyone, ourselves included, get better at the game. So how this works is y'all ask a question in the comment section down below for us to answer on the next episode. We will be doing these every few weeks or so. There's no time schedule. We just want everyone to get involved as much as possible.
Yeah, we're not gonna set a time frame on this one because last time we set a time frame, we got in a car accident, so let's not do that again. So as Brian said, you're going to go into the comment section and you're going to ask the question that you would like us to answer in the following episode. The most upvoted comment of that video will be what we cover in the following one. So if you see a question that you're like, oh, I kind of want to know the answer to that, like it, because the most liked comment will be the one we cover in the next video. I cannot say enough that if you do not interact and you do not put a comment, or if you don't like a comment, we don't have a video to put up, so make sure you guys are interacting with each other and reading the comments because you guys have full control over the content of this series.
So the whole goal is for us to get better, the conversation and the actual dialogue in this series to help the community and just everyone grow as better players and become pros.
And it's hard because not every question is necessarily a ruling question. Some questions are just like, what do I bring to an event? How do I side deck? That's today's video. Or like just questions that you have that you don't really know how to ask. So we're here for that. We're just kind of like the magic 8-ball of Yu-Gi-Oh stuff.
Yeah, and if you have missed any of the other episodes, we'll tag it up in the corner. You can go check out some of the other episodes and some of the other really cool topics that we have discussed.
Yeah. Also, before we get into this video, we will be announcing the winner for the Dragon Shield new sleeve stuff giveaway from last week. So make sure you're listening. We're going to be announcing the winner in this video somewhere. Also, we will be doing our first stream on Twitch tonight. And by we, I mean me, because Brian's going to be at work tonight. So it's just Logan streaming on Twitch tonight. It's our very first stream ever. I'm kind of just learning the basics of Twitch. It's literally just a test stream. So if you guys want to come and help me figure out how to work Twitch and all the fun stuff, just come vibe with me. That's totally fine. We will also be streaming tomorrow on Twitch as well, the both of us.
That'll be the two of us.
Make sure you're following us on Twitch. The link will be in the description box down below. Thanks.
But before we get into this video, if you guys are not already a subscriber, feel free to go down and hit that subscribe button, throw this video a like, and put in the comment section down below the topic that you want us to discuss for the next episode of Yu-Gi Pros.
Make sure you do it. We also have an Instagram. It's at CrushCardsYGO. Feel free to come give us a follow if you want to interact with us a little bit more. We're also almost at 10K, so that'd be really cool. We also have a super wholesome Discord community. It's absolutely bopping. Feel free to come hang out, make some new Yu-Gi-Oh friends, and we're going to start bringing back remote dual tourneys pretty darn soon, so make sure you're in there. And then last but not least, if you want to further support the channel, we have a Patreon. It's a new month. You can still get in on October's benefits next month, and if you join, you still get to see the bloopers for this month, along with all the cool side decks and all the content we put up there. But if not, that's okay. We're just happy you're here. But with that being said, let's get into Yu-Gi Pros episode 4.
Woo!
Wow!
So a couple weeks back, we actually put up on our community page for YouTube what the question for this episode should be, and then we decided to leave town for an entire month. So when we came back, we figured this would be the perfect time to get back into it, open this conversation, and have this series actually be something that a lot of people can get involved in, especially since there's not really a lot going on in this month.
Remember, these don't have to be ruling questions. They can just be any Yu-Gi-Oh question that you just don't really know where else to ask it.
So today's question actually comes from our good friend Sai,
and patron,
or Infinity, and the question is general information on how to side deck, what types of cards to remove, starters, extenders, general use, and what to change them out for.
This is actually a really good question because the concept of siding, well, it seems really simple. A lot of people don't actually know why we side or what the purpose of siding is. So this video, we're going to try and cover every ground for siding.
Yeah, we're going to try to also make this super accessible from all the way to like brand new players to hopefully like, you know, super competitive players as well. Keep in mind that this series is also to help us grow. So if we don't know anything and everything, this is part of the journey for everyone. So that's why we're here as a community to learn and get this topic down pat.
We're doing it as a family. So first things first, we need to address what is the side deck.
Super simple. I know this is like a pretty basic question, but being really honest, us as, you know, like returning players after just a couple years or so, We didn't really know the answer to this question, so we do think that it's actually really important to take 30 seconds to talk about it. So, when you go to a tournament, whether it's competitive, casual, whatever, you bring your deck, which is either 40 to 60 cards. You also bring your extra deck. It's 15 cards as well, but you also get a 15 card side deck. So what the side deck is for is actually to help you prepare for other matchups that your deck may not be adequately prepared for. So like if you're not really prepared for a back row, you put a lot of back row hate into your side deck. If you're not prepared for a lot of combo decks, you put a lot of combo hate in your side deck, and so on and so forth.
Not every deck is built to play against every type of deck, because let's face it, there's a billion decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Not one deck is ready to face all of them. So the purpose of the side deck is to facilitate games 2 and 3, because obviously game 1, you are not playing sided. You're playing main deck versus main deck. So games 2 and 3 is where the side deck comes in.
It's also super duper important to note for any new player who may be out there, after your match is done, you do have to unside and then go into your your regular 40 card main deck. So every game 1, you should be playing unsided.
And then just more general information with siding. So you have 15 cards in your side deck. Now you're probably wondering, okay, do I have to side all 15 cards? What do I do? How does the trade out work? You literally can pick any of those 15 cards or all of them. You can do 1 card to 15 cards and put them in your main deck. You can do whatever. But you have to take out the exact same amount from your main deck and swap them. You don't just get to shove new cards into your deck. You don't get to take out an X amount of other cards. It has to be an equal exchange.
If you start off your main deck game 1 with 40 cards, you have to have game 2 40 cards as well. So that actually brings us into side decking. However, I think this is just a really, really good opportunity real fast just to talk about deck building, because I think when it comes to deck building, side decking is also a part of the deck building process.
100%.
So in order to know what you're going to do when it comes to side decking, you need to be very familiar with your deck. What does your deck do very well, as we talked about before? Does your deck have outs to back row? Does your deck have things that can deal with combo decks? Does your deck have things that can allow you to either like play through hand traps or play around hand traps? Or are you playing hand traps to help interact with your opponent on their turn? All these things are things to take into consideration.
So once you start to understand your deck's strengths and weaknesses, the point of the side deck is to help compensate for those weaknesses and make your deck better going into games 2 and 3. The whole purpose of the side deck is to literally just make your deck more versatile for unknown matchups.
So when it comes to matchups, that's another really, really important part of deck building, is when you are deck building, you need to know what you're gonna potentially face. So familiarizing yourself with the tournament around you, or even the tournament when it comes to like an actual regional sense, which we really hope starts soon, you're gonna need to know what you're gonna have to prepare for and how you're gonna choose to adjust your deck to those other strategies.
So with that being said, your side deck for locals will look very different from your side deck from a regional, and that's okay. The beauty of the side deck, and pretty much your main deck, is you can always change them from event to event. It's not like you have to keep them the same. The format changes every week. I feel like there's always a new good deck. It's wild. I don't know. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! So you know what the beauty is? You can always change your side deck and make it whatever works for that event. And good news is, if you want to know some really good side deck cards that are really good text for the format, don't worry, we got you. We're going to be putting out a video, I don't know, maybe like tomorrow or the next day about those cards exactly. So make sure you subscribe and you got a notification bell turned on, because we're going to help you out with the side deck even more.
So as we talked about deck building, you do have to know what your deck does, knowing its strengths and its weaknesses, but you also need to be very familiar with what the other decks in the meta are doing as well, because this will not only help you prepare your main deck, but will also help you prepare your side deck. You need to be knowledgeable of other decks in the format. Just because I'm playing Tri-Brigade, that doesn't mean that I don't know what Drytron does, or what Prank Kids do, or what Eldritch does, or what any other deck out there is seeing meta play is trying to do and what their strategy is trying to accomplish. This information does actually help you better prepare for what you're going to have to deck build around.
And we're not saying you need to know every single play of every single other deck. That's, you know, really daunting and intimidating for a lot of people, and I get that. But you should know the general idea of what the other decks do in the format, especially really popular ones. Like, even if you don't like the deck, you should still know what it does, because when you're going up against it and you need to decide, you should probably know what you need to decide. That's kind of the whole point, which is what we're going to talk about. And while that's all well and good and merry and we're going to talk about it, I feel like people tend to get really caught up in the what cards come out of the deck. How, like, what cards do I take out of my deck? I don't know what cards are worth keeping in. Do I take out the starters? Do I take out the extenders? I don't know. Do I take this card out? It's a lot to take in, especially when you're going right between games. You're really stressed out. You're trying to just throw cards out. Some people just do it willy-nilly, and I get it, but we're gonna help you figure out so it's not so willy-nilly next time.
Personally, I'm actually a visual learner, so I feel like one of the best ways to dive into this topic is actually just to showcase it and talk about it while we go through a deck card by card.
But before we get into that, we're going to talk about the Dragon Shield giveaway winner from last week. Woo! Thank you all for being so patient. I know it took us a while to get a video up this week, but it's okay. Life happens. But we're here now. All right, I'm going to announce the winner for the giveaway. Make sure you contact us on Instagram, giveaway winner, because I'm going to need your address so I can send you all your cool, sick new Dragon Shield sleeve stuff. And with all that out of the way, the winner of this giveaway is... Not Steve123. Congratulations, Not Steve. I don't know what your name actually is, but you should message us on Instagram because you just want a bunch of cool Dragon Shield stuff. Make sure you guys are keeping an eye on the Instagram and checking out all of our social media links in the description box down below because we might be doing some other giveaways real soon, like when we hit 10K on Instagram really soon. But that's it. Shout out to the giveaway winner. Thanks, Not Steve123. Let's continue talking about the side deck. Yeehaw.
All right, team, so here we are. The deck is profiled out, and I know this may look a little weird, but this is actually very, very intentional. So one of Sai's questions was starters, extenders, general use, and what cards to side out. So I have this, at least for my Tri-Brigade deck right here, laid out for me personally what I think are cards that are more priority as opposed to, like, you know, monsters, spells, traps. Some people will actually break their decks down, you know, like this is a Zoodiac Tri-Brigade list, so they'll break down like Zoodiac cards and then Tri-Brigade cards and then hand traps and then other tech cards. Me personally, the top row is all of your like quote unquote starters or your pseudo starters. So when I'm looking at cards to side out, this is my main engine. I typically don't really touch a lot of these cards. If I do, it's maybe one of them. So because I know that this deck is very reliant on one of my Tri-Brigade effects going off to get monsters out of the extra deck, if that doesn't go through, I want to always ensure that I have extenders to try to help me play through that so that I can still set up a board as well. Also, with that being said, if that doesn't go through, that's why we have jam-packed this deck with other interactions like Solemn Strikes. We're playing a ton of the whole bottom row are hand traps or just other really strong blowout cards. So for me personally, when it comes to hand traps and just deck building in general, I know exactly what cards are good against what matchup. So as we talked about knowing your opponent's cards and your opponent's decks and what other decks in the format do, I know that Imperm is very good in the Mirror match. It's also very good in the Drytron matchup if you can hit the Fafnir. This is also very good when it comes to forbidden dropletting your opponent's Dragoon or your Herald of Ultimateness, both of which are very, very good when it comes to like negating Appaloosas. Ash is super generic and also very good in the Prank Kid matchup, which is why we have chosen 2 Skullmeister as well as opposed to Ghost Spell, because that is a very difficult matchup. We are still on the 1 copy of Pro because it is searchable and it's also very impactful in a lot of matchups. And then Nib is also a really like interesting tech choice that I found has actually been working really well, especially game 1 when no one sees it coming.
Nibiru is really versatile this format. It kind of has its use in between every format, but I think Nibiru is actually really good right now because it absolutely slaps PK because the poor Phantom Knights, if you just Nibiru their board away, it feels really bad for them. And Nibiru is just really good against a lot of rogue decks that just summon a bunch, which is a lot of them.
So as I've stated, I do think that these hand traps specifically for the deck that I'm playing, and at least for what I'm anticipating either at regional level events or at our locals, they cover every single matchup along with allowing my starter cards to do exactly what they're supposed to do while allowing flexibility room for some of my tech choices. So when it comes to the side deck now, we have this, we can't lay it out, but we'll actually showcase 3 Contact C. This card is extremely good in this current format, especially against a ton of meta decks. We're also on 3 copies of Ally of Justice Psycho Reader. This and Droll, we're just going to showcase the Droll now because these 6 cards are so strong against the Drytron matchup, and Drytron is probably one of our worst matchups just because of the amount of hand traps that they can play through. So having 6 additional cards for our worst matchup is something that we do want to have and make sure, as we said before, that all of our bases are covered and that we are doing the right thing when it comes to deck building games 2 and 3. Part of your side deck is actually readjusting your deck and your deck building processes when it comes to your second and third game in your match. And then moving on, obviously we have triple copies of Twin Twisters. This is just for back row. I mean, we are kind of playing Imperial Order here. And then Shireg can just non-targeting banish any card on the field. So it does help you out certain floodgates if you can play around it. But Twin is also really good. And then obviously, just for going first, we have triple copies of Solemn Judgment. This is kind of just more like that insurance policy. A lot of Tri-Brigade decks have switched over to Solemn Judgment over cards like Anti-Spell because you can just protect yourself from that Twin Twisters, and then you also still get to keep your Revolt. So Judgment, Twin for back row, you have your Drytron matchup, which is your worst matchup, and your Psycho Reader and your Droll, and then Contact C is also just really good against the Prank Kids matchup, the Mirror match, and then also just like other rogue decks like Zoo or Adignister, which is something we see a lot at our local tournament.
So moving into the actual process of siding cards in and out, let's go into a hypothetical situation. So this deck clearly can deal with combo no problem. It's teching in a billion cards to deal with combo decks. But what if you're forced to play against a back row deck, you know, like me, the Paleo player, setting 5 and passing? What do you do?
While Paleo is one of our favorite control decks, some of the other notable control decks in the format currently are Guru. You see a lot of Eldritch, Altergeist is still really prevalent.
Everybody's favorite, Mystic Mine.
Yeah, so when it comes to decks like those, you do need to know what they do. So that is actually really important when it comes to knowing your matchups. Every control deck has a really powerful searcher. Guru has Hidden City, Eldritch has Cursed Eldland.
Paleo has nothing.
And then most other control decks just have access to playing things like Extravagance or even Prosperity. So when it comes to that, Ash is always a card that I'll choose to keep in.
Any deck that plays the pot, you just Ash it and they're kind of doomed.
And then there are some decks like Dragon Link that have kind of now become more of like a mid-range deck where they're playing Floodgates in their main deck and just trying to maintain game state and board presence with cards like Rivalry. So in that matchup, I still think Nibiru is a very powerful card. So if we are going up against a generic back row deck, something that doesn't really summon all the time, I don't think Nibiru is a very like impactful or high impact card. So we'll obviously remove those for cards like Twin Twisters. If we know we're going first and we're trying to stop them from activating really impactful cards like, you know, as Logan said, Mystic Mine. This is where it comes to knowing your matchups, because I would take out something like Imperm or even like the Skullmeister and the Crow, because a lot of back row decks don't have a ton of graveyard reliant effects. It's also really important to note that a lot of control decks are playing cards like Verte or even just the Red Eyes package in general. I know a lot of Eldritch decks and Guru are still playing the Red Eyes Fusion package with the Red Eyes Insight, the Red Eyes Wyvern to hard summon Dragoon without making Anaconda. So with that being said, I would side out cards like Imperm and I would side in cards like Solemn Judgment, especially going first. So approaching games 2 and 3, this is more of the deck design that I would try to go for, siding out 6 cards and then siding in these 6 cards that allow me to actually deal with my opponent's deck a little bit more. And then keep in mind as well, the Tri-Brigade engine does have a lot of utility. Shrag is a non-targeting banish. You also have relative spot removal with the Double Dragon Lords as well. Plus this deck can turbo out access codes super fast to OTK and just end the game as soon as possible.
So now that we've shown you a control variant of what to side, we're going to go into a new matchup, unside, reset the deck, and show you guys what we would do against a different kind of combo deck. So for this situation, let's say we're going up against everyone's favorite deck this format, Drytron, which I'm sure you've had to face at some point or another, and if not, bless you, you're so lucky. Drytron is very different from combo decks because Drytron doesn't really combo in the typical sense of comboing off. The deck also plays through a lot. So siding for this one is a little different than typical combo decks.
Going first or second, you obviously do side different things. So like if I was going to go second, Solemn Strikes might not be the best thing, because if I open up a settable card, it doesn't do the most for me because it's not live on my turn 1. Whereas going first, Solemn Strike is a very good card because you can Solemn Strike things like the summon of their Fafnir or the activation of their Fafnir to slow down and even potentially stop their entire engine. So while this deck is built to beat something like Drytron, even though we have the ability to go first because let's say, you know, we unfortunately lost game 1
because Drytron is unfair,
the cards that we are going to choose to side are Droll and or Psycho Reader. So I know that Psycho Reader is an absolute FTK, especially against the decks that are playing the Dragoon build, and then Droll is also one of those cards where they can kind of play around it if they have like Orange Light, but for the sake of going first, if we look at our deck build, as we said, Solemn Strike is very good. Imperm is a really good card, but I think Droplet could even be more impactful. I think Ash is a pretty decent 1-for-1, but honestly, from all of my experience and in playing the deck as well, the deck has 35 ways of searching everything. So one Ash doesn't really do anything. So I think Ash is the first card that I would assess, and I would swap it out for something like an Ally of Justice Psycho Reader. Psycho Reader is very good against the Drytron matchup because even if you let them get going, this banishes 2 light monsters out of their graveyard. And because you do want to have the highest probability of seeing your side cards, even though we are playing graveyard reliant interaction on our opponent's turn, I would probably choose to cycle out our Skullmeister and our DD Crow and swap in cards like Droll. Now I do think it is really good to know that DD Crow Crow is a very, very searchable card in this deck, so you might want to actually keep in DD Crow and side out something like one of your Thoroughblades. This way now, even if you do choose to keep in the Droll and the Cycle Readers, you can choose to search your DD Crow if you want, hitting something like the Ben 10.
Hit the hell out of that Ben 10.
Or you can hit the Gamma, or you can hit any other graveyard extension that they have. So going into a game 2, going first against Drytron, this is definitely something that I would choose to side in. And then I know we said that this is going to be going first, however, when it comes to something like going second, I think the only thing that I would maybe reassess is the Solemn Strikes. I would keep in the Cycle Readers and the Drolls, and I would maybe put back in like an Ash and like maybe 2 Skullmeister, or all 3 Ash, or you can put in the Skullmeisters and maybe put in the Thoroughblade again, because Thoroughblade is just a normal summon that allows you to just make Zeus without activating any effects.
So while we did just use Tri-Brigade as an example, I know this is a very niche situation, we use very niche deck examples, I know that we can't cover every single deck in every type of matchup, but hopefully this was at least a little helpful in the sense that we're basically telling you, never take out your main engine cards. Like, obviously you want to see your starters, you want to see the things that get your deck going. You never want to take these out, like, ever. Like, don't take them out. And then all of the other tech cards, hand traps, everything else, obviously traps are more going first centric cards. Hand traps are kind of durable in the sense that they can go first or second, but this really comes down to you knowing what cards are going to be more impactful. While you are trying to strengthen your deck, you're also trying to weaken your opponent. So you need to counteract that balance so that you're still able to play while stopping your opponent, not doing one or the other.
And if you are interested in side decking when it comes to any and or all of the deck profiles that we put up on the channel, feel free to check out Patreon in the link in the description box down below, because we do go over all the side decks for them and what we choose to side in and out for those as well.
Siding is a super complex topic, and I know that it's hard to cover in just one video, but hopefully this at least gave you a better idea of how it works, what cards to side out, and just how to think about it a little better. Obviously, it's a lot more overwhelming between actual games, but in a sense, the side deck is all about balance. And it takes a while to get into it and understand the rhythm of side decking, but you'll get there. So that's the gist of the side decking stuff that we were going to talk about today. Hopefully that was helpful for you. If it was, make sure you let us know, along with the comment question for what you want us to cover in the next episode of Yu-Gi Pros. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
And make sure you guys are all hearting and upvoting and commenting on everyone else's posts in the comment section so that we know exactly what topics y'all are interested in the most.
Yeah, talk to each other. That's really cool. Interact with each other. It's good for you. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad we're back to Yu-Gi Pros. I missed Yu-Gi Pros. It's been a long time coming. I'm glad you guys are still around to see the resurrection of the series. And let us know if you enjoy it, because obviously it's been a long time coming and I know a lot of you all have been asking for it. But we had a lot of fun filming this one. I hope you enjoy it. I'm very excited to see what we end up doing in the following episode, because y'all get to decide. This ain't up to us. So I don't know, keep your eyes peeled. Maybe we'll be doing this more often. I don't know. And make sure you come watch me be an absolute dumpster fire on Twitch tonight, because it's gonna be wild. I don't know what I'm doing. Please come help me. And then we'll be on Twitch tomorrow, the both of us, and hopefully it'll be a little bit better. And make sure you're just following us on Twitch, because we're trying to get affiliated real quick and be cool streamer people. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Giveaway winner, make sure you watch the video somewhere and contact us on Instagram so we can send you your cool Dragon Shield stuff. We love you. You matter. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.